Okay, so this blog is about how to hold space for your man. And many of us that are on this beautiful spiritual journey, we get so happy and excited that we're on this journey and that we want to share with everybody how we've gotten ourselves to be happy and full of love and experiencing all these miracles. That many times we might be crowding other people's spaces, especially when it comes to relationships. And I guess when I'm talking about man, I'm talking about very romantic relationships. It's very possible, and I hear a lot of people ask this, well, what do you do when you're doing all this stuff and you're living with someone, whether it's your boyfriend or your husband, and they're not really doing it with you, or they're doing it but maybe you don't think that they're doing it? So that's really what this blog is about. And this comes from my own experiences with this stuff. I wasn't really full-blown into this journey like I am now when my husband and I got together and then when we got married. So for us, there has been a lot of adjustment as far as our home and how we live together, with me doing this stuff and, him doing it in his own way. The first tip I want to give you is really that it's a personal journey. So everybody is going to experience it in their own way. So a lot of times our ego will feed us things like, I'm starting to meditate and he's not meditating, something's wrong with the relationship. And then what will happen is it will definitely push us into, we have to force them and nag them into meditation. And that's not cute. It's like no one's really going to respond to that. They're probably going to become very resentful. And it doesn't just have to do with meditation. It has to do with anything. If I love Course in Miracles, and I've always said to my husband, you have to sit with me every day and read the Course in Miracles. I'm pretty sure he'd be turned off and he would not want anything to do with the Course in Miracles. So it's like that for anything that you're really getting yourself into. Our idea is always like, oh, but they're supposed to be supportive and we have all these expectations and then we want them to whatever. Well, give them a break, okay? So give your man a break. Realize it's a personal journey. Gabrielle Bernstein has been saying a lot of this, be the change that you want to see in others, and I believe she got it from Gandhi. So, Gandhi was huge on this. He changed his stuff first and then he made such an impact on the world. And it sounds crazy, but the same principle applies to your relationship with your man. You get serious about your stuff. You do your stuff. You can share it, but sharing it for us sometimes means pounding the person over the head with the stuff that we want them to do. That's just not going to work. It's actually going to turn them off, like I said, and probably not going to like you very much. And then I wouldn't be surprised if your relationship goes to the pooper really fast, because it's not a great energy to have, okay? A loving energy is really an energy of allowing and opening up and letting people get there to what they get there. Imagine if the universe or God said, you can't get your shit together, I'm going to pound you over the head with it. We'd be turned off as well. And that's what many people have done with religion and many things. We pound people over the heads with the information that we think that they have to have. And then we think that they're going to want it, and that's really not the way it works. So it's the same with your relationship. Realize that it's a very individualized, personal journey that, yes, you're sharing with them. We're sharing with everybody in the world, really. And also, with that being said, let me go quickly into the second one. Check your ego. So be very self-aware about what's going on with you. Because I have my ego, my husband has his ego, everybody has their own ego. So many times, my ego will be feeling like, well, I'm better than him, and I have to tell him how this is the only way to do it. And of course, that doesn't go over very well. And it could be the same thing for him. Sometimes maybe he's trying to tell me things about myself, and the same way, it doesn't go over very well. As a miracle worker, as a person that practices this stuff, I know that sometimes when he says it to me, it's my place to forgive. Instead of getting into this whole ego thing, which has happened many times that doesn't happen. But sometimes when he says something and I can sense something coming up inside of me, and I think, that's the way I say it. I think that's not very nice. And I know, maybe I just need to forgive. Maybe something's going on with him right now. Maybe he didn't have a good day, or maybe he's just not in a good mood, whatever the case may be. And then just hold space for him to get through his stuff. So, after realizing it's a very individualized journey, realizing that I have to really be able to bring self-awareness to myself. So check myself and see what's going on in those moments where something else might be coming up for me in that relationship. And that really holds space for him. For him to do his own thing, for him to have his own process, for him to feel his own feelings, and for him to do it in a way that works for him. And closely related to that is really letting them have their own process. Everybody has their own process in their different way. And guys, obviously, a lot of times can process things very differently for girls. So I know, for instance, for my husband, a lot of times it's just sitting down and playing video games. And video games is a huge thing for dudes. They sit with their little microphone, and I know a lot of girls sometimes get into this big, you're sitting there too long. Girls, leave your man alone when he's playing video games. And I'm advocating for guys right now. And whatever it is that he likes to do, whether it's watch sports, and I love sports, so I'm very biased when it comes to sports, but if it's watch sports, if it's playing his guitar, if it's work out with his buddies, go play basketball, whatever it is for him. Women and men can do this too, but right now, speaking from a woman's perspective, we can sometimes get into this very needy mode of wanting all the attention to be on us, or feeling like they have to be paying attention to us or something. And that really does not hold space for the other person. It's really an energy of lack, and it's very not cute. Okay, it's a very turn-offish energy where I'm pretty sure if you have this energy of like, why are you playing too many video games, and you start again getting into this mode of nagging about it, it's not going to go over very well. So understand it from even a spiritual perspective. The healthier space, the healthier place to be is really one where you can allow this person to do what they need to do. Again, realizing, and this is important, again, this comes with self-awareness, realizing that when you no longer need your man to feel good about yourself, you are going to be more aware in those moments of, you putting out this neediness of like, you need him to pay attention to you to feel something, like maybe more self-worth, maybe feel better. Not to say that you're never going to spend time together, but some of the most beautiful times I have in my home with my husband is just moments where we naturally just come together and we want to sit down and do the same thing. Or we say, hey, you want to go do this? Or hey, you want to go do that? And there's so many other moments where really I'm doing my own thing in my own way. He's doing his thing in his own way. But yeah, we definitely come together on our own. But when there's this energy of like, why aren't you paying attention to me? From either of us, it's really kind of turn-offish, and it really is very detrimental to relationships. And just because, say you have a boyfriend, it doesn't mean people that are married don't do it, because I see it happen all the time. So it can happen in any kind of romantic relationship, marriage, boyfriends, whatever, live-in boyfriends, I don't care what it is. It happens all the time. So whatever your form of your relationship is, whether it's married or not married or whatever, it's the same thing. When you're with someone like that and you're putting off this energy of lack and you want them to make you better and you want them to complete you, that doesn't work out very well. And I think society has really fed us this idea of like, oh, okay, get the man, be happy, then you're going to feel better. And it's really a whole bunch of bullshit. And, that's the truth of the matter. It is. It's so much healthier. And I'm telling you, that's what guys want. You don't believe me, but guys want a person, a girl who's going to feel good about herself 24/7 just on her own. It's too much pressure for them to feel like they have to do all these little gestures of whatever for you to feel good. It's different when they do it on their own, and that's what the holding space is. They'll get to a place where they'll want to do it on their own. There's tons of things that my husband does on his own, but if I'm walking around trying to ask him for things, he quickly just it's just this very needy energy, and he quickly kind of blocks it off. And then, of course, it takes me, the process I was telling you, me being very aware of myself and checking my ego and seeing what is my ego telling me. As soon as I keep projecting it on him, we get into this big blown out fight about like, why aren't you being nice to me? How come you're not doing this? And then it becomes this big discussion, and obviously that's how many things happen. And it's okay because we work through it and it's a learning process. But I realized that the moment really becomes different and about something more miraculous when I shift, when I shift myself from thinking that it's him that's pissing me off because he's paying too much attention to whatever, and I shift into, let me just hold space for him to go through his own things. Because obviously we all want to think it's about us. It's not about us. Especially if you're living with someone and you're in a relationship with them, it's definitely not all about you all the time. Not in that way. Okay? What is really about you, and if you really want to make it about you, take some time to look at your own self and see what's going on for you. And that's really going to hold space a lot better for your man. If you take time to take a look at what's going on for you instead of just looking at him and seeing what's going on with him. Because you really don't know. And I think so many women spend time thinking, oh, what is he thinking? Who the hell cares? Not in a rude way, but just figure out what you're thinking. You know what I mean? What's going on with you? That's going to give you a better idea of what to do with the situation than trying to figure out what the hell he's thinking. Because then it could be completely different. He might not be as verbal as you. He might not express himself the same way. And then how are you going to figure it out? Then you're trying to decode it. It gets freaking too complicated when you try to do that. It's a lot better to really make it about yourself by taking a look at yourself inside and seeing what's going on with me. What are my feelings? What's my ego saying? What are my fearful thoughts? And then going from there and then letting him come to that place on his own if he comes there, or just seeing what happens next and really asking for guidance. And the last thing I want to tell you is focus on how things feel. Again, this is important. Instead of focusing on the outside. So many of us, when it comes to our relationships, especially romantic ones, we get very distracted on how it looks on the outside, what people think of it, how people perceive it. And this really F's things up for us. It really fucks relationships up, okay? Because we've spent too much time concerned about what others think and how it looks on the outside. And it's really about what you feel on the inside. My best example for this that I know everybody knows about is Charlotte from Sex and the City. How she has a one relationship that appears to be perfect on the outside, perfect husband, good looking, has this whatever job, and, you know, everything perfect, perfect, perfect. And she perceives it to be perfect. And on the inside, it was crap. You know, they had so many different issues going on. Eventually, they don't end up together. And who does she end up happily married to? You know, the guy that on the outside, she was like, this is the last person I would ever like. He's short, he's bald, you know, he was very blunt and just things blurted out of his mouth. He was kind of like not very refined, if that makes any sense. I remember when he's eating the bagel in the office when she's starting to get her divorce, and his talking with his mouth full. There's so many things on the outside level, you know, that she wasn't into, but on the inside, it was completely different. And this is really what relationships are about. We focus too much on what the outside looks like and what people are going to think of it. And with their spiritual journey, dudes, we focus too much on what they're doing on the outside, their behaviors. If they're not praying and meditating, then they're doing something wrong. Realize, yes, to me, this is major. Everybody should be praying and meditating. But in order for me to really hold space and be able to honor someone else's journey, I have to be okay with, if they're going to do that, they're going to get there on their own. And maybe it's not even they're going to get there on their own. Maybe then one day I just ask them, hey, do you want to pray with me? And they say yes. And that's, you know, that's the feeling of that's good enough. The inside is that's okay. That's how they did it. That's fine. I don't have to say to them, well, maybe you should be doing this on your own. Yeah, it's great that you pray with me, but you should still be praying on your own. Especially if it's a romantic relationship, because then again, I'm going into preachy, mommy, telling you what to do mode. It's not cute, and it's definitely a turnoff. So I would really recommend to you to focus on the inside of your relationship. So focus how this relationship is making you feel on the inside. And it's going to allow you to hold space a lot better for someone else when you don't feel like they're letting you down because the outside doesn't look like it's supposed to. Because your man's not going to church with you, or because your man's not reading the Bible, or because he's not studying A Course in Miracles, or because, you know, I don't know, he's not listening to Reiki music, or because he's not, whatever it is for you, your practice, spiritual practice, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, if you let go of this idea of what it's supposed to look on the outside, you're going to hold space a lot better, because realize that the other stuff that I said before, he's going to get there on his own. And it's really about you checking yourself and seeing what's going on with you. And then you'll be able to hold space a lot better from someone. So take it from someone who has been with someone for a long time, I think 6 years, and it's about to be 4 years in a month. So woohoo, 4 years married. So super cool. And it's not always easy. I know that. And sometimes I don't want to do it. And sometimes I just want to tell him he's getting on my nerves and he's not doing it the right way. He's not meditating the right way. But just even saying that sounds crazy, because everybody does it their own way. And that's the beauty of this journey, that it's so personalized, individualized. And remember that we're all just spirits having a human experience. So they already know how to have the experience. It's just we think that we know better. And so we need to stop doing that. We need to stop thinking that we know better. So I hope this helps all the lovely women having a spiritual journey and who has a man or wants a man and thinks that it has to look a certain way. Release those ego thoughts and just let it be what it is. And it's going to be beautiful. Love you and have a wonderful day.